I'm a serial entrepreneur. Built and sold 2 businesses, always in the sex space, right?
Okay.
I'm Irish Catholic, so naturally.
Yeah, well, obviously.
And,
your mother must love that.
And best known for my last business, which was getting what the media calls female Viagra to market. So there were 26 drugs for every kind of male, like, sexual complaint, not a single one for women.
And what
until
year
we
is
broke
this?
through. That was in 2015 when we finally broke through.
How fucked up is that?
Can you imagine 2015, 26 v 0? And I was like, oh, hell no.
Okay.
More women than men actually have issues in the bedroom, truly. And why shouldn't we have treatment options of our own? But I got to tell you, maybe I should have seen this coming, that getting the first drug for pleasure was going to be a fascinating story. But it ultimately resulted in a fight with the government. I took the government on for women's sexual pleasure, and I ultimately won. The science was there.
Yep. And had the science always been there, but nobody wanted to take it on?
So I will tell you, we really learned, I think, from brain scan imaging that there's a biological basis for this in women.
Okay.
So it was very easy for us, like if you think about, ED, erectile dysfunction, it's very easy to say like, oh, he can't get it up. I can see it. Like, let's fix it.
It's clinical.
And for women, we were like, oh, you're just stressed.
Yeah, totally.
Have
You're
a bubble
tired.
bath. Relax. Go on vacation. And I'm like, that is so absurd that we don't think that women bring biology into the bedroom too. And sure enough, it's like a brain chemistry issue for women when there's a lack of libido. So we knew that scientifically, but it was really hard to pay attention to science when you have all sorts of misconceptions and beliefs
social pressure
about female sexuality. It was really fascinating to go through. Ultimately, a very public fight. I took on the FDA.
Talk about the fight with the government.
Oh my God. So here we are, like, this is geeky science stuff.
Let's
right?
go.
You do double-blinded, placebo-controlled trials. You have to prove in trials that you increase women's interest in sex, their desire for sex. They have more satisfying sex when they have it. They're not stressed out. We did it all, like to the letter of the law, so to speak. In science, we had proven everything with statistical significance, and the FDA rejected us. And like, that was a bad day.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
You're just
I'm
like,
running
shit.
this startup, and it happened on a Friday. I had I'd flown back into Raleigh, it's where we're based. I land, and my assistant calls me. And like, everybody's waiting. We know this is a day we're getting the news.
Yep.
Like the champagne is chilling.
Yep.
At the office, she calls me and she's like, "Oh my God, you just got a note. They've turned you down." And I said, "Don't tell anybody." And I can remember I sat down like on a bench in the airport and I didn't move. I was just stunned. It made no sense. And I can remember just sitting there like for what felt like hours, and finally like, I gotta go. I gotta face the music. And I went to the office. I gathered the whole team around the table, and they were like coming like this.
Everybody's
like,
ready. The streamers, the balloons.
The news. And I get to the table and I said, "We just got rejected by the FDA. Go home and work on your resumes." And I waited, like, that feeling. You like look out the window till the last car is out of the parking lot, and then I broke down.
You cried. Yep.
I cried my eyes out. I mean, I was so devastated. And that weekend, I tell a story because it was like, I'm so grateful there was this reminder in the moment. I didn't want to answer my phone. Like, my board is calling me.
Course,
my investors coming. What do I do?
Say?
What am I going to say? I'm like, we're screwed, basically. So I actually went to my email the next morning, Saturday morning, and a woman wrote me who'd been in the trials. And she was watching to see for our approval. And she wrote me and she said, "Hey, I saw the news. I'd like to speak with you." She was in D.C. I'm in Raleigh. And she's like, "Can we meet?" I'm like, "Yep, I'm driving up there.
I got nothing to do today.
I got nothing to do. I'm getting in my car. I need this drive." I went up there. I sit down in a coffee shop. I've never seen her. She's never seen me. I'm sitting there, and this woman hits the door, and I know it's her. Like, immediately. Type A, in charge. You can relate. She runs her own business. She has 2 beautiful boys. She loves her husband. Been in a 20-year marriage, adores him. And she looks at me and she said, "I have succeeded in every aspect of my life other than this. I've been struggling with this issue for years. I've raised my hand 1,000 times and said, something's different. Something's changed." And people had said, "Have a bubble bath. Go on vacation." And she's telling me the story, and I said, "Can I show you something?" And I pop open my MacBook, and I'm showing her brain scan images of women with this condition. And I'm starting to geek out and tell her, and I turn, and she's just crying. And I thought, that's why I did.
That's why
why
we're
I'm
doing
doing
this.
this. That's why I'm doing this. Got back in my car, went back Monday morning. Everybody comes in the office. I gather them around the table. And they're waiting for like, okay, how many days till we
what's
put
my
the locks on the door?
yeah.
And I said, we're going to fight the FDA. And everyone's just quiet. And my IT guy says, can you do that? And I said, we're about to find out.
I don't know.
And he put a pair of pink boxing gloves on my desk the next morning, and they're still there today.
Incredible.
And we took them on. And we took them on because the science was there. It had already given us the answer. Everybody just needed to get out of their way. Mm-hmm. And what it forced is that they had to talk to women who were struggling with this. And all of a sudden, once that conversation happened, we went back and looked at the science, and we won. So we won.
Incredible.
Can I keep going on the story?
Go.
Okay,
this is so great.
We win.
Like hanging on your
it's
every
this
word.
amazing, like, science wins, women win. It's really an extraordinary process. And by the way, that took years, 6 years. It took Viagra 6
years.
months to get approved. On a third as many patients, by the way. Not that we value male and female sexuality differently, right? But so we win this. 2 days later, I sell the company for $1 billion. And it was $1 billion cash up front, a $2.5 billion deal. Oh my God, dream come true.
Amazing.
Right? Women are going to have this across the world. It's going to be like everybody will know it. It's going to have the same kind of gravitas of
and
Viagra.
The product's called Addyi.
Addyi,
right? Yeah,
is its name, or it's known as the little pink pill. Or
okay, yep.
Female Viagra. It doesn't work that way, but the media calls it that. So sell the company. This is the dream.
You made it.
And then they shelve it. They buy the company. They put the drug on the shelf. Women can't get it.
And do you have an earn-out? Are you working for them at this point?
So I was going to stay for a period. I mean, at that point, this company was the darling in our space who bought us. I mean, their stock was at an all-time high. Thank God I didn't take stock. I took cash. But it was really like the perfect company to pair with. And then they hit some issues. Their stock dipped. This was the last thing in. They were like, no way. The plan had been I would come in and build women's health for them.
Sure.
And I would acquire this other
of course.
science. And that is a dream come true for me. So literally, within a week of the deal closing, I'm invited to leave. I like to call it that.
How'd that go?
Oh, that was a really fun conversation. That was a very heated conversation, which was, the hell with you, this is my baby. And then I had to have like a minute of the founders like, all right, you know what? They paid me $1 billion.
Right.
I got to step to the side.
That. Yep.
And I need to cheer on, and at least my team is there. My team is there. They know how to do this. It's going to be great. 3 months later, my whole team's gone. It's gone. Just like that. That was so depressing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so depressing because I felt so bad for all of the people who bet on me. And frankly, for the same woman I sat in the coffee shop with, she can't get the product.
Yep.
Can you imagine?
So your mission hadn't been fulfilled.
I could not. And I, same thing, like, felt sorry for myself for a little while. Nobody was feeling sorry for me. I'd had a big transaction. And that was the beginning of this, you know what? I'm going to fucking help other women get this done. And I'm going to make them really rich.
Yep.
We're going to get to invest in the things we want to see in this world. And then I was like, and you know what? I'm going to get it back. And at the time, they got a new CEO. So this company was in turmoil. They get a new CEO. This sweet man is on the job for 2 weeks. And I said, will you have breakfast with me in New York? He said, yes. I sit down across from him and I said, give it back. He looked at me like, wait a minute. What? Is somebody filming this? He's like, we paid you $1 billion cash for it. I said, yeah, I know. And you agreed to do really basic things like make it accessible to women, spend this much money in marketing, have it distributed in pharmacies. So I'd written a contract where they had specific performance obligations. You live and you learn. It was a better contract than when I sold my first business.
Okay, got it. Yep.
I was really specific about some of the
what
things
their
they had to
obligations
do.
would be.
And they were in breach. And so they more or less told me to go away. I went away for a little while. I kept knocking, give it back, give it back,
With lawyers
give it back.
or by yourself?
At first by myself, then with lawyers, and ultimately sued them. And in exchange for dropping the lawsuit, I got it back. We kept the $1 billion cash, and I invested in other female disruptors.